Hi, I'm Linda. I love traveling and I love food and I love traveling for food. So me and one of my favorite humans, Amy, decided to take a cute 5-day foodie trip to one of the most delicious cities I've ever been to. Our itinerary is quite literally to eat and eat and eat a little more, so I hope you like eating because here we go. Now, Bangkok holds a very special place in my heart. About a year ago, I had just dropped out of school and was so burnt out, and I had no idea what I was going to do with my life, and so I decided to go solo traveling. And Bangkok was the first destination, so for me, it's kind of where I first started to heal. I always feel like I'm forgetting everything. Let's triple check. Alright. Probably forgot my passport, but it's okay. I remember that first day so clearly. I had just landed after traveling for like 30 hours and the entire city was flooding and the streets were completely empty, so it kind of felt like I had the whole city to myself. I spent that entire day soaked and jet lagged, roaming around the city, temple hopping and filling up my belly. My first meal was this bowl of like peppery noodle soup. I had finally found the restaurant after passing it like 6 times, and at that point I was very damp and very hangry, but that first sip of warm flavorful broth soothed my soul and like brought me back to life. So it didn't take much time at all for me to fall in love with the food scene here in Thailand. While New York is known as a city that never sleeps, I feel like Bangkok is the city that never stops eating. After dropping off our things at the hotel, we were off to do our favorite hobby at a restaurant that our friends actually recommended. They made us swear that we would come here and try the best mushrooms of their lives, which was also apparently one of the best things they ate in Bangkok. And so we partially listened because we didn't get the life-changing mushrooms, but instead this magical charred cabbage. Guys, I didn't know I could be so impressed by a cabbage, beautifully charred and drenched in this sweet and savory and just delectable sauce.
I could eat this all day, every day. What the frick is in there? Oh, she's charred perfectly. I was stuck on an island and I could bring one thing with me, it'd be this.
Because I'm basic and love pad thai, I ordered the pad thai, but the thing is, like, I've never regretted ordering a pad thai. And plus, this one came with a mini fried crab. It was equally disturbing and intriguing and added a very nice crunch to the soft sweet noodles. And Amy got this red curry with a ton of crab chunks and an entire chopped pumpkin inside, which she was not a fan of, so I had the honor of eating them for her. And this may have been a time where I kind of regretted ordering the pad thai because Amy's curry was 500 times better.
That's the best thing I've ever eaten in my life.
Well, the traffic here is pretty horrific. My solution to that would definitely be taking the subway, or my personal favorite, the Uber bike. Scootering around the city was honestly one of my favorite parts of the trip. It costs basically nothing and it's just a lot of fun. So we scootered to our 14-course omakase dinner that we had booked like a month and a half in advance. Omakase is a dining experience where the chef has full control over the order and the way you eat the food. We started off with this hot pink smoky juice that was apparently red perilla juice, which is a Japanese drink that's supposed to bring out your appetite and helps with exhaustion, digestion, anti-aging, and a lot of other stuff.
I eat omakase, I close my eyes, by the way. Okay.
This was a fried squid sushi with sweet soy sauce glaze. I get really passionate when I eat omakase, like I really try to savor the flavors, so I chew each piece quite vigorously before swallowing.
I'll eat everything. Okay. Chunk.
I just really want to treasure every bite because most of the time every bite is like $35. Because omakase typically costs like $150 to $300, but this entire meal was only $29. It kind of felt like I was stealing the sushi. I have been fortunate enough to have visited Japan, and this may be very controversial of me to say, but this was definitely the best omakase, best sushi I've ever eaten.
I see why everything is 5-star here. It should be 6.
This one I think was yellowtail fish. I don't even know what that means, but they sprinkled gold dusting on top and I think that was caviar, so this may have been the bougiest bite of sushi I've ever eaten. I love truffle flavored anything, pasta, pizza, chips, and this was a shrimp tempura with truffle salt.
It's truffle salt. Truffle salt. That's so good.
Literally top 3 things I've ever put in my mouth. The chef told us to eat half as is and then dip the remaining shrimp into this teacup filled with steamed egg custard and savory whipped cream. I was kind of confused about how this was supposed to work, but at this point the chef had fully gained my trust.
So good.
You could tell me to eat anything, and there's a pretty good chance I would listen. The next dish was this golden, sparkly shrimp whose head was deep fried and the rest of him was made into a sushi. And then he dropped some huge smoke bubbles onto this beautiful masterpiece of bluefin tuna and uni, which is sea urchin, which has always made me a little queasy because it's a little cold and slimy and custardy, but also tastes like the sea. But this was like the perfect amount of creamy, slimy sea taste to balance everything out.
That one.
Wow.
And this was craziness. This was an unagi sandwich. The sweet and savory sauce seeps into the buttered, crispy bread, and I could not stop eating it, but I didn't want to keep eating it because I didn't want it to be over.
Holy moly.
Is it silly to say seeing this footage of a girl happily eating the best sushi of her life in Bangkok with one of her new friends makes me so happy, because we have come such a long way. Only a year ago, she was a deeply unhappy, heartbroken, burnt out workaholic who woke up exhausted every day, who had everything but felt so empty, and who really didn't like herself. And I don't blame her because they taught her to. Her whole life, they taught her that her career had to be her life, that her value was based on the numbers on her paycheck and the scale and the apps, that time not working was time wasted, that she would only be loved if she looked a certain way, and she had to be loved before she could love herself. The person who was here a year ago, they may look the same to you, but nothing looks the same to her. It's pretty crazy how everything looks and feels different when your perspective changes, when it becomes more about experiencing instead of achieving, learning instead of perfecting, peace instead of productivity, strong instead of skinny, being instead of chasing. Everything is different now, from exercise to money, rejection and setbacks, the content she makes, the food she eats, how she spends her time, the meaning of success, the trees and the birds and the sky. Everything is different now because she's learned to see it all differently.
She's so good. So good. Oh my god, is there another one?
And I'm so grateful for her, for not giving up, for deciding to take a break, for coming to Thailand, for starting therapy. And I wanted to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. My therapist was actually the one who gave me the initial idea to go solo traveling in the first place, to, take some time away. And for me, that was a really difficult decision to make. To leave my family and my home and take time off school and work and everything I believed gave me value as a human. That was a hard decision, and probably also the best one I've ever made. The solo traveling and also the getting help. I really think that going to therapy is actually a sign of strength. I don't know, it takes a lot of courage to acknowledge when you need help and to want to improve your mental health. Currently, my mental health is probably the best it's ever been, and I still go to therapy regularly. You don't need to have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety to benefit from therapy. It helps you understand yourself and the things that you do and the beliefs you have, and helps you develop healthier habits, and makes me feel a lot less alone. Before my first session with BetterHelp, all I had to do was fill out a questionnaire, and then you get matched to a therapist in as little as a couple of days, and you can easily switch therapists until you find someone you really connect with. If you're struggling and you think you could benefit from a therapy session, you can click the link in my description or go to betterhelp.com/sun and get 10% off your first month of therapy. This looks so yummy.
Oh god. There's chicken in here. Cheers. Wow. That's so good. Cheers. So much crunch.
This was actually one of my favorite places we ate on the entire trip, mainly because of the free mangoes they gave us. Mangoes here are just like built different, so insanely sweet. Their spring rolls were also perfectly crispy and delicious, and I'm seriously proud of myself for ordering something other than pad thai. Pad kra pao is my brother's favorite Thai dish. It's like a stir-fried beef and basil dish served with rice and an egg. Personally, not my favorite, probably the least yummiest thing I ate all trip, unfortunately. And this is a perfect example of why I stick to pad thai. But Amy's green curry was definitely the best green curry I've ever eaten. I think I'm starting to see a trend here, and I think Amy may just be better at ordering than I am. We were so full, but we have a weird obsession with browsing convenience stores when we travel to find new snacks and ice creams to try. We've made it our mission to try every single Kit Kat ice cream bar flavor in the world, and today we got to add to the list.
What an influencer.
Do the
ASMR. Shh. Sorry. She ruined it for you guys.
We're in like the loudest possible.
Wow.
Okay, you get first bite.
No, you
come
get
in.
first
Come
bite.
in.
Oh.
Bite it together. Not bad.
It tastes like a strawberry Kit Kat. I give it like a 6.
Two.
Bye.
You get another bite.
No, I can't.
Please.
Confession, I actually don't drink coffee. I've found that caffeine doesn't particularly like being inside of my body. My stomach gets unhappy with me, it ruins my sleep, and I get the jitters. But from time to time, it's worth the sacrifice. This place had to be trending on social media or something because it was bursting with coffee lovers. Every sip of every drink we ordered was delicious, creamy, and like perfectly sweetened. And they also had a black croissant stuffed with Thai tea filling, and as a croissant lover and a Thai tea lover, I loved her very much.
spicy monk.
Thai curries are literal flavor bombs. There are 5 Thai curries that I know of, and each one is scrumptious in their own unique way. But out of all the Thai curries, I have to say Penang is probably my favorite. However, green does come in a close second. Penang is just so rich and creamy and a little sweet and tastes a little peanut buttery. And as a peanut butter enthusiast, obviously this has to be my curry of choice.
Oh my god.
Clearing my nasal passageways. What do you mean?
Wow. Why was it like evil?
I don't like peas.
Like your mom. I snack on tortillas.
Plain, nothing?
Yeah.
The floppy?
Yeah.
I'm a strong believer that one of the best ways to learn about a new country or city you're visiting is by eating through it. Food tours are such a genius concept to me. Literally nothing sounds more perfect to me than spending 4 to 5 hours snacking and learning about the food scene and the history of a place while meeting locals and other travelers who share my love for food. We started with these pan-fried sticky mochi pancake pieces, stuffed with green chives and dipped in a sweet and savory sauce. So satisfying.
Really good.
More flavor, a little bit spicy on the bottom with the seed, like that.
You guys want to try some with the egg?
Then we moved on to these grilled coconut pork skewers served with a phenomenal peanut satay sauce. How did they get it so tender and so flavorful and so perfect? I also could eat an entire bucket of that peanut sauce.
Oh my god, no.
We have chicken in there, we have egg in there, spring onion and celery. If you drink a lot, it's gonna help you about the blood pressure, make it low.
And then we entered this dark, slightly sketchy alleyway to try the best shrimp dumplings of my life, and that is a bold statement. And if you don't believe me, they have proof that the king's wife and daughter get their dumplings from here.
The king wife, over there is the king daughter, the same lady from the side.
They had the most perfect chewy filling, perfect doughiness, perfect flavor profile, and a little hint of sweetness. Absolutely remarkable.
This one is the best dumpling ever for me.
And I was so happy that I got to experience the famous Red Stool street curry restaurant a second time. I'm pretty sure they were featured on a Netflix show, and it still lives up to the hype. I'm obsessed with the flavor of their green curry, and I love their little sweet Chinese sausage bites.
That's standing in the... Wow.
Yeah, like something like deep fried. And this one is the grasshopper. It tastes like shrimp. My favorite one is this one.
Bamboo worm. Bamboo worm. Cheers. Cheers. Oh, it's like hollow. Oh, it's good. It's not a French fry.
Second one, like peanut, silkworm.
Ah. Cheers. That one exploded. Oh. I see its eyeballs. That one's really good. Yeah.
Grasshopper, they're gonna have like a big legs. You have to take it off.
Thank you. Smiling at you. Kiss. That tastes good.
Black tiger is made from Thai and Chinese herbs mixed together. Local people will drink this one a lot for the energy.
To give our stomachs some time to digest all the insects and alcohol consumed, we had a mini ice cream break. Guys, this was soy sauce ice cream. I was skeptical at first, but it tasted very similar to salted caramel with a tiny soy saucy aftertaste. And I have to say, I would pay to eat it again. This bowl of rice roll noodles and crispy pork belly and peppery soup was actually that first meal I mentioned having my first day in Bangkok. It really did feel like a full circle moment. Time really flies. Speaking about time, before solo traveling here last year, I had never really spent that much time on myself. All my time was spent studying or working towards some goal or milestone. There were things I had to do and an age I had to do them by, and there was always a map telling me what direction I needed to go. And I think for all of my life, I was so focused on perfectly following this map that when I got to the destination, I didn't even remember how I got got there or why I rushed to get there in the first place. Basically, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what mattered to me, what made me happy at the end of the day, and I didn't like that I didn't know. Solo traveling didn't teach me the meaning of life, but it did change the meaning of mine. It taught me, well, forced me to take care of myself, listen and get to know myself, find value in my existence beyond work and improvement and money and my job. It forced me to be on my own team and to learn how to like myself. That was probably the hardest and most crucial part. The love I had for myself was always very conditional. I always had to earn it. I didn't think it was my job to love myself, but my job to convince others to. So it changed my life, you know, learning to speak to myself with kindness and compassion, letting myself make mistakes and be imperfect, and being grateful for simply being alive. Sounds dumb, but your life will change when you start treating yourself like someone you love, because you should be someone you love. I really believe it doesn't matter how many things you achieve, how good your grades are, how fast you run a marathon, how much weight you lose, how much someone else loves you, and how much money you make. It doesn't matter if deep down inside you dislike yourself, if you don't value yourself when all of those nice things and achievements and those people are stripped away. I don't know, but nothing will ever feel enough until you decide, you know, that you're enough for yourself. Anyways, it's lunchtime, and can we just take a second and admire this gorgeous spread? We started with these little bean fritters that we dipped in this delicious sweet chili sauce. These were devoured in 10 seconds.
So fire.
This is like a peanut, shrimp, and pork vermicelli bowl. Wonderful textures, but a little too shrimpy for me. And this super cool looking watermelon tower was covered in tiny dried shrimp powder. These shrimps are in a lot of Chinese dishes too, but I've never been a huge fan because they have a very unique and pungent oceany taste and smell, and so this just tasted like shrimp skin flavored watermelon to me. And for my main, I ordered this green curry with this fried crispy oily roti. Please give me like 50 more of these. The roti was puffy and perfect and crunchy and oily, but the green curry unfortunately murdered my mouth. It was so spicy I couldn't function, I couldn't breathe. Eating in Thailand has definitely humbled me and shown me that my spice tolerance needs a lot of work. I bet it was really yummy, but unfortunately I wouldn't know because my entire body was on fire and very uncomfortable. To be fair, solo traveling was also very uncomfortable at times, and lonely and hard and scary too, but I think that's kind of the point. You learn that you can do hard things on your own. You learn how to talk yourself out of a spiral, how to recover from food poisoning, how to live out of a backpack, how to find your way back after getting lost. You learn how to have hope when everything is going to shit. You learn how to fall back in love with life again. You learn that if you can travel to a new country by yourself and take yourself out to dinner and get yourself through those hardest moments, you can literally, and I mean literally, do anything. So different traveling alone and traveling with friends. It doesn't even feel like I'm in the same city. It's just a completely different experience. To share these moments with your friends, it's an experience of a lifetime. Not to mention, you can order more food and take cuter pictures, save money on Ubers, and I definitely had a lot more laughs. But when I was alone, I don't know, I think I felt more free. I did everything on my own schedule, never had to compromise. I feel like I learned a lot more about myself, and for sure felt more present. I don't think one is necessarily better than the other, but I'm grateful that I now know that I can do it alone, that I'll be okay on my own. You know, for a while I had forgotten how good life could be, and at the time, Thailand brought me back to life in a way. After feeling, I don't know, trapped in my own head, being here reminded me that there is a whole beautiful wide world beyond the confines of my mind. There is a world out there with gorgeous temples and magical spices and kind humans and tranquil islands and life-changing meals and a version of you that is content. Some places in the world will always just have a little piece of our hearts. Maybe it's the town you grew up in, or the city you went to college, that one unforgettable trip, or a part of the world you felt weirdly connected to. The place where I fell in love with Thai curry, where I became a survivor of a parasite infestation, where I realized there was more to life. There is more to life than your career. There's more to life than the number of calories in your dinner. There's more to life than that boy who doesn't see your worth. There's more to life than gaining more subscribers and losing more weight. There is more to life than your worst days. There's so many more valuable things than money. Laughter, energy, feeling safe, feeling loved, feeling alive, time with family, dessert, a healthy body, and a healthy mind. I sometimes wish I could just spend a day with my past self and give her a hug and tell her, even though I know she wouldn't listen, to take a deep breath and that she is going to be fine. She has to go through this to get to the other side. It's okay to not know. It's okay to start over. It's okay to decide you want something different, something more. You're not supposed to know exactly what you want and who you are. You're not supposed to be happy all the time. And you'll actually learn to love your life because it's not perfect.
I was like standing there contemplating for like 2 minutes about which one I should get, and the guy behind me just said, I think you should just get both of them.
Life is so unpredictable, and that may be a little anxiety inducing, but it's also a great reason to keep going. A year ago, it took so much effort to just get through the day. And today, I woke up on the other side of the world, excited to eat delicious food and create new memories because I fell in love with life again. You literally never know what life has in store for you, so you just have to keep going. I needed to go through it all to get here, and while I don't know what you're going through, I do know that you will get through it, and that version of you on the other side of it will understand why you had to. Did you know that I spent this entire trip for the past 5 days talking about this matcha Oreo Dairy Queen Blizzard flavor? I swear I visited every single Dairy Queen in the city, but somehow every time the Dairy Queen was out of it, or had just closed, or was permanently shut down. And I thought, you know, some things just aren't meant to be. But right in front of my gate at the airport, lo and behold, a Dairy Queen. I didn't want to get my hopes up, so I cautiously asked if they had the matcha Oreo Blizzard, and they did, and it was everything I dreamed it would be and more, overflowing with Oreo chunks. Sometimes you just have to be patient. Growth and healing and recovery all take time. It's gonna take time to become someone you've never been before. Don't punish yourself if you need a day, a week, or more curled up in bed, away from the world, lost in yourself. You're not failing. You are coping, you are healing, and you have time. Endings are hard. It's always a little bit upsetting when any chapter comes to an end. I remember how conflicted I felt the night right before the end of my solo traveling adventures last year because it felt like a pivotal chapter of my life was coming to an end just when I was starting to feel happy again. Now I had to go back to my real life and figure out who I was and what I was gonna do next. I didn't want it all to end, but I find it's kind of amazing now looking back on the end of that trip and seeing all the ways my life has unfolded since. I realize in so many ways that ending was really just another beginning. Sometimes it really does take coming back to the place you felt most broken to remind you of just how far you've come. Everything works out in the end. I'm so happy.
Guess I'll never know what's good for me.